So let's talk about one of the biggest questions out there, one that science really throws at faith. Why would an all-powerful God take over 4 billion years to create life? Why all the messiness? Well, we're going to explore a pretty radical answer called process theology. It's a whole new way of looking at God, creation, and, well, everything. Let's dive in. And this is really the heart of it, isn't it? It's this huge cosmic puzzle that kind of pokes a hole in a lot of traditional ideas. I mean, if God can do anything, why the long, slow, often brutal grind of evolution? Why not just snap a finger and poof, you've got humans or dolphins or whatever the most valuable creature is right there in an instant? This one question, it turns out, is the key that unlocks this whole way of thinking. And just so you know where we're pulling all this from, our guide for this journey is Chapter 4 of Process Theology, an introductory exposition. So yeah, we're going straight to the source to break this all down for you. So let's really frame this puzzle, because it's a big one. That 4 billion year crawl of evolution isn't just some fact in a science textbook. For theologians, it's a genuine problem. It's really, really hard to square with the traditional picture of God. And here's why. For centuries, a core idea in theology has been that God is actus purus, a fancy Latin term that basically means pure actuality. The idea is that God is already perfect, complete. Everything good, everything beautiful, it already exists, fully realized, in God. So if that's your starting point, a messy trial and error process like evolution just seems, well, illogical. Why would a perfect being need such an imperfect process? This is where process theology comes in and totally flips the script. It says, hey, maybe we need to rethink the most basic thing of all, the nature of God's power. Is God a cosmic controller or something completely different? And this chart just lays out the difference so clearly. On the left, you've got the traditional view. God is a controlling power. Creation happens from absolutely nothing, ex nihilo, because all the value you could ever need is already perfect in God. But look to the right. Process theology offers a whole new model. God isn't a controller, but a persuasive power, working with a pre-existing chaos. And the values? They aren't already perfect in God. They're possibilities that God is constantly luring the world to make real. And this quote from the philosopher Alfred North Whitehead, who's really one of the godfathers of this whole idea, just nails it. God's influence is always persuasive. God doesn't command or force things into existence. It's more of a gentle nudge, a constant lure, working with the universe as it is to create whatever order is actually possible at any given moment.
Okay, so if God is persuading, you have to ask, persuading towards what? What's the point of this whole 4 billion year journey? Well, the answer, in a single word, is enjoyment. Now hold on, because enjoyment here is a technical term. It's not just about, having a good time. Think of it as the actual experience of value. And to get it, you need 2 things. First, you need harmony. The parts have to fit together. They can't just be a clashing mess. But you also need intensity. The experience has to be rich, complex, deep. See, an experience with just harmony is super boring, and one with just intensity is pure chaos. The goal of everything is to get as much of both as you possibly can.
And you can literally see this process building step by step. The story starts not with nothing, but with a kind of primordial chaos, just a sea of random, messy events. Then God's persuasive lure starts to create a little order. You get stable things like protons and electrons. Then they team up to make atoms and molecules. From there, you get the first living cell, which is a massive leap forward. And it just keeps going, getting more and more complex, until you have creatures with a central nervous system, what the text calls an animal soul. They can have a much more unified and intense experience of the world. And the logic behind this whole climb is actually really simple. You can't have deep, rich experiences without complexity. A proton can't appreciate a sunset. A single cell can't fall in love. Every single step up in complexity opens the door for brand new possibilities, for richer, more intense, and more valuable experiences. A greater capacity for that enjoyment. And that is what's driving the whole show. Okay, but I know what you're thinking. If the whole point is enjoyment, then what about suffering? Why is the world so full of pain and evil if it's being lured towards something good? This is the million-dollar question, right?
Well, process thought says that to get to the greatest good, you have to risk 2 different kinds of evil. The first one is called triviality. Just imagine a world that's perfectly harmonious, no conflict, no struggle, but also zero intensity. It's safe, it's ordered, but it's completely empty and meaningless. That state of being, that total lack of value, is considered a form of evil that the universe is trying to escape.
The second kind of evil is the one we're all familiar with: discord. Physical pain, mental suffering, all of it. But here's the radical idea. In this framework, discord isn't a mistake. It's not a punishment. It is the unavoidable risk, the cost of doing business, if you want to achieve real intensity and escape the ultimate meaninglessness of a trivial world.
And this quote from Whitehead might just be the most important idea in this entire explainer. Discord, he says, is the halfway house between perfection and triviality. Think about that. To get from a state of boring, meaningless safety to one of rich, valuable experience, you have to pass through the zone where pain is possible. There's simply no other way to get there. So it all comes down to this: good and evil are two sides of the same coin. The very same freedom and complexity that makes it possible for us to experience profound love, create breathtaking art, and feel deep joy is the exact same stuff that makes horrific suffering and cruelty possible. You can't have the potential for one without creating the potential for the other.
Now, rethinking God and evil like this isn't just some abstract philosophical game. It has huge, real-world consequences, especially for how we see our own place in the natural world. I mean, this way of thinking lays a seriously strong foundation for a deep ecological attitude. If every level of reality, from a single cell all the way up to a person, has some capacity for experience, for enjoyment, then everything has its own intrinsic value. It's not just valuable because we can use it. And if that's true, then maybe all creatures deserve our respect, our reverence. It means our responsibility is so much bigger than just other humans. It extends to the entire web of life.
So this brings that huge cosmic question right down to a really personal one. The whole system kind of hinges on this trade-off. So is it worth it? Is the possibility of intense joy and profound beauty worth the very real risk of intense pain and suffering? According to Process Thought, the universe is screaming, yes. What about you?
And so we're left with this final, really powerful image. God, in this view, isn't some all-powerful king sitting on a throne safely removed from it all. No, God is a fellow adventurer, a companion who is right there in the struggle with us, risking discord right alongside creation, all in the quest for a richer, deeper, more beautiful world. It's a theology of becoming, not just of being.